The galaxy laughed when humans sent one ship. Then it arrived, Part 1. First contact. The big ships came on a Tuesday. They filled the sky over every major city on Earth. People stopped working. Children were sent home from school. The world held its breath. Captain Alan Wright was eating lunch when the call came. He was a tall man with gray hair at his temples despite being only 42. 20 years in the Air Force had given him a straight back and clear eyes that missed nothing. "Captain, you need to come in now," said the voice on the phone. "I'm on leave," Alan said, but he was already reaching for his jacket. "Not anymore. The president wants you at the UN building in New York. There's a plane waiting." 4 hours later, Alan sat in a room with the top military and government leaders from around the world. The air felt heavy. No one spoke much. They were waiting. When the aliens finally walked in, they looked almost human. They stood on 2 legs and had 2 arms, but their skin was pale blue, and their eyes were too big for their faces. "I am Ambassador, Scifistory of the Viridian Collective," said the tallest one. Its voice sounded like music played slightly out of tune. "We represent the Galactic Council, a union of 327 advanced civilizations." The room stayed quiet. Alan watched as the president's hands shook slightly before she clasped them together. "Earth has been monitored for some time," continued Ziktar. "Your species has reached a point where contact is necessary. You have begun to explore space. We are here to guide you." "Guide us?" asked the president. "Yes. All young species require guidance. The galaxy is a dangerous place. You will be given observer status in the council, limited trading rights, access to certain technologies." The Chinese premier leaned forward. "And if we want more than observer status?" The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. "That is not possible at this time. Your species is not ready. You are too violent, too unpredictable. This is for your protection." Alan felt something cold settle in his stomach. He had heard this kind of talk before, the kind of talk that came before terms were dictated. The meeting lasted for hours. The aliens showed videos of their worlds, gleaming cities that floated in the air, ships that could cross the galaxy in days, medicine that could cure almost any disease, but for each wonder they showed there were 100 things they would not share. Not yet. Not until humans proved themselves worthy. "We will allow one human representative to join the council as an observer," said Ziktar. "The rest of your species will remain here, under our protection." "You mean under your control," said Alan, speaking for the first time. All eyes turned to him. Ziktar's head tilted. "Your name?" "Captain Alan Wright, United States Air Force." "Captain Wright, you misunderstand. We have seen species like yours before. Without proper guidance, you will destroy yourselves or become a threat to others. This is the standard protocol." The word protocol made Alan's jaw tighten. This wasn't a meeting. It was an announcement of how things would be. The aliens left after setting up a communication system. They would return in 1 month for Earth's answer, though it was clear they expected only one response. The world's leaders argued for weeks. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to accept the aliens' terms. In the end, they publicly agreed to the observer status. What choice did they have? But in secret, another plan formed. 3 months after the aliens left, Alan found himself in an underground base in Antarctica. The cold outside was terrible, but the base was warm and busy with activity. "Captain Wright," said a woman with red hair tied back in a tight bun. She wore a lab coat with the name Dr. Samantha Foster on the pocket. "Thank you for coming." "I was ordered to come, Doctor," said Alan. "I still don't know why." Samantha smiled and led him through a security door. "Because you were the only one who spoke up in that first meeting, and because you're the best pilot we have." They entered a massive room carved out of the ice. In the center sat a ship unlike anything Alan had ever seen. It was sleek and dark, with lines that seemed to pull at his eyes. "What is that?" he asked. "That is the ISV Defiant," said Samantha. Interstellar Vessel Defiant, the first and only ship of Project Horizon. Alan walked closer. The ship wasn't large, maybe the size of a naval destroyer. How? The aliens didn't give us this technology. No, they didn't. But they did bring their ships close enough for us to scan. And they did leave behind some interesting trash when they visited. We've been working day and night, reverse engineering what we could, guessing at the rest. Does it work? In theory. We need a crew to find out. Alan looked at her. And you want me to be what? The captain? Yes. We're gathering the best from around the world, scientists, engineers, soldiers, people who can think on their feet. The aliens will stop us. Only if they notice us, said Samantha. They think we're children. They're not watching closely. Alan touched the ship's hull. It felt warm like living metal. Even if we get past them, then what? One ship against an entire galaxy? We're not trying to fight the whole galaxy, said Samantha. We're going to find allies. The Galactic Council has been around for thousands of years. There must be others who don't like their rules. This is crazy, said Alan. But he was already imagining what it would be like to fly this ship. It is, agreed Samantha. But it's better than sitting here, waiting for permission to join the grown-ups table. 6 months later, the ISV Defiant was ready. The crew of 100 had trained in secret. They had learned to use the new technology. They had prepared as best they could. On launch day, Alan sat in the captain's chair. Samantha stood nearby, as chief engineer. The rest of the crew was at their stations. All systems ready, Captain, said Samantha. Alan looked at the main screen, which showed the ice doors above them starting to open. Beyond those doors was the sky. Beyond the sky was space. And somewhere out there, a galaxy that thought it knew what humans were capable of. Let's prove them wrong, said Alan. Launch the ship. The ISV Defiant rose from Earth silently, its advanced engines leaving no heat trail for the alien monitoring stations to detect. By the time anyone noticed, the ship had already jumped into deep space. In the Galactic Council meeting hall, an aide whispered into Ziktar's ear. The ambassador's large eyes widened briefly. The humans have launched a ship? He asked. One ship? The Galactic Council members looked at each other and laughed. What could one human ship possibly do? They would find out soon enough. The galaxy laughed when humans sent one ship. Then it arrived part 2. The outsiders' 5 years passed. The ISV Defiant traveled farther than any human had gone before. The crew had seen amazing things, stars being born, planets with rings of ice, and strange space creatures that lived between the stars. Captain Alan Wright stood on the bridge looking at the main screen. His hair was completely gray now, but his eyes were still sharp. Captain, we're approaching the Orion Arm, said Lieutenant Greg Adams from his station. We're outside Galactic Council space now. Alan nodded. This was what they had been waiting for. A chance to meet other species without the Council watching over them. Sensors are picking up a planet with signs of advanced technology, said Catherine Daniels, the ship's science officer. She was young with short black hair and was the smartest person Alan had ever met. But there's something strange. The technology is advanced, but I don't see any space travel. Let's take a closer look, said Alan. The Defiant moved closer to the planet. It was beautiful with purple oceans and red lands. Cities spread across its surface, connected by fast trains that moved on tracks of light. I'm picking up a communication, said Richard Hayes, a thin man with glasses who worked at the communication station. They're asking who we are. Open a channel, ordered Alan. On the screen appeared a being unlike any they had seen before. It looked like it was made of clear crystal with patterns of light moving inside its body. I am Zentak of the Nithari people, said the crystal being. Who are you and how did you bypass the barrier? I'm Captain Alan Wright of the ISV Defiant from Earth. What barrier? The crystal being's lights flashed rapidly. The Council barrier, the energy field that keeps us from building ships that can leave our system. Alan looked at his crew. This was something they hadn't known. The Council wasn't just limiting humans. They were keeping other species trapped. We didn't know about any barrier, said Alan. We're not part of the council. We left without their permission. Zentak was quiet for a moment. You defied the council? This is interesting. You should come down to our world and talk. The Defiant landed on the Nithari world. The Crystal people welcomed them with open arms. Catherine spent days talking with their scientists, learning about their technology. Their math is amazing, Catherine told Alan one night. They can solve problems in seconds that would take our computers years. But the council has kept them from using their knowledge to build ships. Why would the council do this? Asked Alan. Control, said Samantha Foster, walking into the room. Her red hair had streaks of gray now. The council doesn't want competition. They keep species like the Nithari and us under their thumb. The Nithari told me about others, said Catherine. Species on nearby worlds who are also kept from reaching their potential. Alan made a decision. We came looking for allies. Let's find them. Over the next few months, the Defiant visited many worlds beyond council space. On the water world of Kepler 438b, they met the Lemurans, a species that looked like a mix between humans and fish. The Lemurans lived under the rule of council mining companies that took their planet's resources. John Miller, a strong man with dark skin who led the ship's security team, helped the Lemurans fight back. They destroyed the council's mining machines and took control of their own resources again. The council has been lying to everyone, John told Alan after they left Kepler 438b. They say they're protecting the galaxy, but they're just using everyone else. The Defiant's next discovery was the strangest yet. While hiding from a council patrol ship, they drifted into a cloud of dust and gas. Inside the cloud, they found ships of many shapes and sizes, all hiding together. We are the Veil Nomads, explained their leader, a tall, thin being with 6 arms. We have lived between the stars for generations, away from the council's eyes. Richard Hayes spent weeks learning the Nomads' language and history. They were once part of the council, he explained to Alan, but they disagreed with the council's rules and left. They've been hiding and collecting forgotten knowledge ever since. What kind of knowledge? Asked Alan. Ancient technologies. Ways of traveling through space that the council says are too dangerous but really aren't. The council likes their way of doing things and doesn't want change. As the Defiant continued its journey, word spread among the outsider species. Humans had come. Humans who didn't follow the council's rules. Humans who wanted to help others be free. One by one, representatives from these species asked to join the Defiant's crew. The Crystal Nithari taught them how to improve their computers. The Lamarans showed them how to heal wounds faster. The Veil Nomads gave them better ways to hide from council ships. When the Defiant visited Earth's secret colony on a distant moon, Alan met with the leaders from home. We never expected this, said the president, looking at the reports. We sent you to find help against the council. Instead, you've started a movement. These species were already unhappy, said Alan. We just showed them they weren't alone. The council is starting to notice, warned the president. They're asking questions about missing ships and rebellious planets. They still think Earth is just sitting quietly, waiting for permission to join their club. But that won't last forever. We need more ships, said Alan. The Defiant can't do this alone anymore. The president nodded. We've been building more, in secret, using what you've sent back to us, but we need time. Then we'll give you time, said Alan. We'll keep the council busy looking at the edges of their space while you prepare. Back on the Defiant, Alan gathered his crew and their new alien friends. The ship that had left Earth with 100 humans now carried over 200 beings from a dozen different worlds. The council has ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, he told them. They think they know everything. They think they can predict what every species will do. But they've never met humans before, and they've never seen what happens when the outsiders work together. The crew cheered. The Defiant's engines hummed as it prepared to jump to its next destination. On the bridge, Alan looked at the stars on the main screen. Where to, Captain? Asked Greg. Alan smiled. The council thinks we're just one ship, lost in the dark. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Defiant disappeared into the depths of space, carrying with it the hopes of many worlds. The revolution had begun. The galaxy laughed when humans sent one ship. Then it arrived, Part 3. The adaptive edgeword spread through council space about the human ship. Most council members laughed it off. One ship could not change the way things had been for thousands of years. The council had millions of ships. They had weapons that could destroy planets. What could one human ship do? Then reports started coming in. A mining station destroyed. A prison planet with all its inmates gone. Communication centers going silent. Always, witnesses reported seeing the same ship. A dark vessel that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. In the grand meeting hall of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Ziktar stood before the High Council. "These humans are becoming a problem," said the head counselor, a being, made of pure energy contained in a floating metal shell. "You said they were primitive." "They were," said Ziktar. "They should be. Their technology was centuries behind ours. And yet their ship continues to evade our best patrols," said another counselor. "This ends now. Send 3 battle cruisers to hunt them down." Near the Cygnus crossing, a region of space where stars were packed close together, the ISV Defiant drifted silently. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making it hard to see against the blackness of space. On the bridge, Captain Alan Wright studied the star maps with Greg Adams. "The Lamaran homeworld is here," said Greg, pointing to a blue dot. "If we go through the crossing, we can reach it in 2 days." Alan nodded. "Plot the course." Samantha Foster walked onto the bridge. In the 7 years since leaving Earth, she had become more than just chief engineer. She was the heart of the ship, the one who kept the Defiant running even when it seemed impossible. "Captain, the new crystal computer core is online," she said. "The Nithari engineers say it's working better than expected." "Good," said Alan. "We'll need every advantage. Council patrols have doubled in this sector." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Catherine Daniels looked up from her science station, her face pale. "3 Council battle cruisers just appeared," she said. "They're blocking our path through the crossing." Alan's jaw tightened. They were waiting for us. The main screen showed 3 massive ships. Each one was at least 20 times larger than the Defiant. Their hulls gleamed silver in the light of the nearby stars. Weapons ports opened along their sides. "They're hailing us," said Richard Hayes. "Put them through," said Alan. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to a council military commander. His skin was deep purple and his 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Human vessel," said the commander. "You have violated council law. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded." Alan stood straight. "This is Captain Alan Wright of the ISV Defiant. We claim the right of free passage." "There is no such right for unregistered species," said the commander. "This is your only warning. Surrender or be destroyed." The screen went dark. "They're charging weapons," reported Catherine. Alan looked around at his crew. Humans stood side by side with Crystal, Nithari, fish-like Lemarans, and the thin, many-armed Veil nomads. Each brought different skills, different ways of thinking. Together they had done the impossible many times. "They expect us to surrender or run," Alan told his crew. "Let's show them what humans do instead." He turned to Samantha. "Is the new shield ready?" Samantha nodded. "The Lamaran biocircuits are connected to the Nithari crystal matrix, but it's never been tested in battle. No time like the present," said Alan with a small smile. "Security team to battle stations." Maria Collins, a woman with short brown hair who led the security team, nodded. "Ready, Captain." The first shots from the council ships should have cut the Defiant in half. Instead, the new shields absorbed the energy and redirected it around the ship. "Shields holding at 90%, reported Samantha. "They're firing again," said Catherine. The council ships launched a full attack. Energy beams and explosive projectiles filled space between the ships. The Defiant shook but held together. Their targeting systems are looking for standard shield patterns. explained one of the Veil nomads at the engineering station. Our shields don't work like theirs. Alan nodded. Let's use that. Maria. Target their weapon systems only. The Defiant fired back. Instead of trying to destroy the much larger Council ships, they aimed for specific points. The Nithari crystal. Computers calculated perfect targeting solutions faster than any Council AI could manage. One by one, the weapon systems on the nearest Council ship went dark. They're bringing in reinforcements, warned Catherine. 2 more cruisers on the way. Time to show them our last surprise, said Alan. He looked at the Veil Nomad navigator. Activate the jump system. The Veil Nomad's 6 hands moved across the controls. Ready, Captain. The Council had faster-than-light travel, but it required massive engines and careful calculations. The Veil Nomads had discovered something different, a way to fold space for just an instant. Jump, ordered Alan. The Defiant disappeared. The Council ships fired at empty space. A second later, the Defiant reappeared directly behind the lead battlecruiser. Target their engines, said Alan. The Defiant fired again. The battlecruiser's engines exploded in a brilliant flash. The huge ship drifted, powerless. Second ship coming around, reported Greg. Jump again, said Alan. The Defiant jumped 3 more times, each time appearing where the Council ships didn't expect. With each jump, they fired at engines, weapons, or communication arrays. They didn't try to destroy the ships, just disable them. Within 20 minutes, 2 of the 3 original battlecruisers floated dead in space. Their crews were alive, but their ships couldn't move or fight. The third ship turned to run. Let them go, said Alan. We want them to tell others what happened here. As the last Council ship fled, cheers broke out across the Defiance bridge. They had done it. A single ship had faced 3 of the Council's best battlecruisers and won. Richard. Hayes looked up from his communication station. Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the Council ship. They're telling everyone what happened. No one believes them. Alan smiled. They will soon enough. Back on Earth, Dr. William Jackson stood in a massive underground hangar. Around him, 20 ships were under construction. Each one incorporated the lessons learned from the Defiant's journey. We just got the news, said his assistant. The Defiant won a battle against 3 Council battlecruisers. William nodded. Then it's time. Launch the first 5 ships. Let's show the Council that the Defiant isn't alone anymore. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The impossible had happened. A single ship from a primitive world had defeated the Council's finest. And rumor had it, more human ships were coming. The galaxy had laughed when humans sent 1 ship. No one was laughing now. The galaxy laughed when humans sent 1 ship. Then it arrived. Part 4. The Council fractures. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so loud. Representatives from hundreds of worlds shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate action against the humans. Others called for caution. Ambassador Zikatar stood silently as the chaos unfolded around him. His mission to keep Earth contained had failed completely. Now the Council itself was in danger of falling apart. Silence, called the head counselor, his energy form glowing brighter with anger. This disorder is beneath us. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We will not be undone by 1 primitive species. An aide rushed into the hall and whispered to the head counselor. The glowing being's light dimmed for a moment. What is it? Asked another council member. 5 more human ships have been detected, said the head counselor. They have appeared at different points across council space. Panic spread through the hall again. We cannot allow this rebellion to continue, said the representative from the Solari Directorate, one of the oldest council members. The Solari were tall beings with gold skin who had been among the founders of the council. I recommend we destroy Earth immediately as an example to others. I disagree, said a small, round being who represented the Antari trading houses. These humans have shown remarkable abilities. Perhaps we should reconsider our position, offer them full membership. Accommodate primitives? Sneered the Solari representative. Next, you'll suggest we welcome those crystal people or the fish creatures they've been associating with. And why not? Asked a new voice. All heads turned to see a human woman standing at the entrance to the great hall. She wore a simple blue uniform with Earth's flag on the shoulder. Her gray hair was pulled back in a neat bun. "Who are you?" demanded the head counselor. "How did you get in here?" "My name is Patricia Hall, Earth's new representative," said the woman. "As for how I got in, your security systems are designed to keep out anyone who doesn't belong. But that assumes you get to decide who belongs." Hall walked calmly to the center of the hall. Council guards moved to stop her, but the head counselor waved them back. He was curious what this human would say. "Earth was offered observer status," said the head counselor. "You have no right to speak here." "Rights are not given, they are taken," said Hall. "Just as you took the right to rule the galaxy, just as we are taking our right to be heard." The hall fell silent. No one had ever spoken to the council this way. "You call us primitive," continued Hall, "but in the short time since we learned of your existence, we have matched technologies that took you centuries to develop. Not because we're special, but because we think differently. We try new things. We adapt. And cause chaos," said the Solari representative. "Your ship has been freeing prisoners, destroying mining operations, interfering with council business across the galaxy." "Yes," agreed Hall, "because your business has been keeping other species down. The Nithari could have taught you new ways to compute. The Lemurons could have shared their biological science. The Veil Nomads could have shown you better ways to travel between stars. But you classified them all as primitive and kept them isolated." "For their own protection," said Zakatar, speaking at last. "As we tried to protect Earth," Hall laughed. "Protection? Is that what you call it when you put a fence around someone and tell them they can't leave? Where I come from, we call that a prison." She turned to address the entire council. "But we're not here to overthrow you. We're here to offer something better. A true galaxy of equals. No more primitive classifications. No more keeping technologies from those you deem unworthy." The Antari representative bobbed up and down, their way of showing approval. "The human speaks sense. Times change. Perhaps the council should change too." For hours the debate raged. The oldest council members refused to consider change. The newer ones, especially those who had suffered under council restrictions themselves, were more open to Hall's ideas. Outside the council building, crowds gathered. News of the human representative's speech had spread quickly. Species that had never been allowed into council space arrived in ships of all shapes and sizes. The Solari representative looked out at the growing crowd. "This is an invasion." "No," said Hall. "This is a revolution. Peaceful, I hope. But that depends on you." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Defiant and the other human ships continued their work. But now they didn't hide. They openly visited worlds that had been kept isolated, sharing technologies and ideas that the Council had kept secret. Captain Alan Wright stood on the bridge of the Defiant, looking at the main screen. It showed a Nithari crystal ship flying alongside them. The crystal beings had built it in just 2 months once they learned how the council barrier around their world worked. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said Catherine Daniels, standing beside him. Alan nodded. 7 years ago we left Earth hoping to find allies. I never imagined it would lead to this. Humans have a gift for bringing people together, said Catherine. Even people made of crystal or water or gas. On a small moon near the edge of council space, Dr. William Jackson met with representatives from over 50 different species. None of them had ever been allowed full council membership. All of them had technologies or knowledge that could help others. "If the council won't change," he told them, "then we'll build something new. A galactic confederation where all species are welcome, where knowledge is shared, not controlled." Back in the council hall, the debate had reached a breaking point. The council was splitting along ideological lines. The old guard, led by the Solari, refused to give up any power. The reformers, led by the Antari, supported Hall's vision of equality. "This is your last chance," said Hall. "Join us in building a better galaxy or be left behind by history." The head counselor's energy form flickered as he considered the options. For 10,000 years, the council had ruled without challenge. But in just a few short years, humans had changed everything. We will need time to consider these matters, he said finally. Of course, said Hall, but don't take too long. The galaxy is changing, with or without your approval. As she left the council hall, Hall smiled to herself. The old council was already dead. They just didn't know it yet. What would replace it remained to be seen, but for the first time in thousands of years, the future of the galaxy was open to new possibilities. And it had all started with one ship. The galaxy laughed when humans sent one ship. Then it arrived, Part 5. A new galactic order. 10 years had passed since the ISV Defiant first left Earth. 10 years that had changed the galaxy forever. The massive space station hung in orbit above Earth. It was built in the shape of a wheel, with spokes leading to a central hub. Ships of all kinds docked along its outer ring. Some were sleek and fast. Others were large and slow. Each one carried visitors from different worlds. Admiral Allen Wright stood at the window in his office looking out at the ships. His hair was white now, but his eyes still held the same determination they always had. Admiral, they're ready for you, said a young officer at the door. Allen nodded. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa Foster smiled at him. She looked just like her mother, Samantha, had when the Defiant first launched. Lisa had been only a child then. Now she was an officer herself. Together they walked to the main meeting hall. The room was circular, with seats arranged in rising tiers. Each seat held a representative. From a different world, there were over 500 of them now. Allen took his place at the speaker's platform. Beside him stood Ambassador Patricia Hall and other leaders of what was now called the Galactic Confederation. 10 years ago, Allen began, Earth was told to wait, to observe, to know our place. Instead, we sent one ship to find our own way. The hall was silent as everyone listened. That ship found more than we expected. It found others who had been told the same thing. Wait, observe, know your place. He looked around the room. Crystal Nithari sat next to fish-like Lamarans. The many-armed Veil nomads shared a section with gas beings who floated in special containers. Humans from Earth mixed with species from across the galaxy. Today we signed the charter that makes the Confederation official, continued Allen. Not a council that rules from above, but a group of equals who work together. Ambassador Hall stepped forward with a data tablet. The first law of our Confederation is simple. Knowledge belongs to everyone. Technology is to be shared, not controlled. Any world that joins us agrees to this. One by one, the representatives came forward to sign the charter. Some used hands, others used tentacles or light beams or mental powers. The method didn't matter. The meaning did. When the signing was done, Allen found himself standing with his old crew from the Defiant. Did you ever think it would come to this? Asked Catherine Daniels, now head of the Confederation's Science Division. Allen shook his head. Never. We just wanted to prove humans deserved a place at the table. Instead, we built a new table, said Richard Hayes with a laugh. Samantha Foster joined them, her arm linked with her daughter's, and everyone is welcome at it. The old council had not gone quietly. There had been battles. The Solari Directorate and a few other ancient species had tried to keep their power by force, but they found themselves facing not just human ships, but vessels from dozens of once restricted worlds. In the end, most council worlds had joined the Confederation. A few, like the Solari, had retreated to their own territories, closing their borders and refusing to participate in the new galactic order. As the celebration continued, Allen slipped away to a quiet corner. There he found a familiar, blue-skinned figure waiting. Ambassador Zikatar, said Allen, surprised. I didn't know you were here. The Viridian nodded his large head. I thought it appropriate to witness this moment. My people voted to join your confederation yesterday. I'm glad to hear it, said Allen. Your knowledge will be valuable to everyone. Ziktar studied Allen with his large eyes. I still don't understand. How did one ship change everything? The Defiant was just one small vessel. Allen smiled. But it wasn't just a ship, was it? It was an idea. The idea that different doesn't mean worse. That we all have something to offer. The council believed order was more important than freedom, said Zuktar. And we believed freedom leads to a better kind of order, said Alan. Look around you. The Nithari crystal computing has advanced medicine beyond what the council ever achieved. The Lemeron biotechnology is helping feed hungry worlds. The Veil Nomad's jump drive has opened new parts of the galaxy for exploration. Zuktar was quiet, for a moment. And what have humans contributed? Besides starting all this? We brought people together, said Alan simply. That's what humans do best. We adapt. We see possibilities. We try new things, even when we're told they won't work. Later that night, Alan stood on the observation deck of the space station. Below him, Earth glowed blue and green and white. Above, the stars shined like promises. The door opened, and Samantha Foster walked in. After all these years, she was still his closest friend. Can't sleep? She asked. Alan shook his head. Just thinking about how far we've come, and how far we still have to go, added Samantha. The Confederation is just beginning. There will be problems. There always are, agreed Alan. But we'll face them together, all of us. A ship detached from the station and moved slowly past the window. It was the Defiant, now considered a historical treasure. But it wasn't being retired to a museum. A new crew was taking it out to continue exploring. I spoke to the new captain, said Samantha. She's nervous about living up to the legacy. Alan smiled. Tell her not to worry about legacy. Tell her to do what we did. What's that? Whatever everyone else thinks is impossible. As the Defiant moved away from Earth, its engines flared to life. The ship that had changed the galaxy headed out once more, carrying the same message it always had. Never underestimate what one ship can do when it carries the right idea. And somewhere in the vastness of space, other species who had not yet made contact with the Confederation looked up at their skies and wondered what new possibilities tomorrow might bring.